Steve Gamache here with a Chef Knives to Go quick look product video, and this time we're looking at the Nishida Kudauchi Funayuki Profile 180mm knife. This line of knives has a core steel of Shirogami, our white paper #1 carbon reactive steel, and the heat treat rating is about 61 Rockwell on that core steel. The construction on either side of that core steel, it's a 3-layer sandwich, is soft iron reactive cladding on top of that, and it has a kind of a smooth, semi-smooth Kudauchi or blacksmith finish with some embossed kanji on the left side of the blade. It's a nicely done finish, and it gives way to the grind of the knife down towards the edge where you've got a bead blasted kind of kasumi finish, and then a polished edge where the core steel shows up. Nicely done. You do see a little bit of a patina there developing from testing out this on some ingredients. The weight on these is pretty substantial. That's their style. 161 grams or 5.7 ounces for this particular knife. All these dimensions and weights will vary a little bit from knife to knife. The blade length on this one was oversized at 187 on the edge, which is pretty sweet. The overall length, about 13 inches. And the thickness of the spine coming out of the handle right above the tip, or I should say the chin area back on the heel, it's about 3.5 millimeters, and then shrinks down a little, but carries quite a bit of thickness all the way through until you hit the grind of the knife right here, and boom, you hit the tip, and it thins out where the grind starts. The heel height back here at the chin is 45.4 millimeters, and the handle type is just a well-executed basic wood, stained and lacquered, kind of a shiny lacquer finish on it. And let's see, the handle circumference right about here is 3 inches, pretty standard size. The handle's a little slippery when wet, so you could put a little high grit sandpaper to that and kind of smooth it out a little bit and roughen up the finish a little if you were at a pro environment, for example. Fairly thin neck on it, so you get plenty of clearance for your fingers for knuckle clearance on the board. And let's talk about the balance of the knife. It's right about there on this particular one, which is just pretty close to my pinch grip, so it's a real nimble feeling knife, and it also handles pretty well in a racket grip as well. The profile on the blade is quite flat. Their style is a sheep's foot kind of point arc on the front of the knife and the tip area of the knife, so this kind of has a more of a Santoku profile in my opinion, and even though they call it a Funayuki, so it's a pretty flat profile with a pretty generous flat area in the heel, and then just kind of slight curve towards the tip. It's not a very sweeping belly or arc to it, but let's put it on our sample board here, and you'll see kind of what it looks like. You get a little bit of a flat spot at the rear. You do kind of hit that. It's not a continuous total arc, but you get a good spot there towards the back, which is pretty generous for this size of a knife. And then you've got a kind of a not too big of a belly or arc towards the tip. You're not going to get real high with this without digging the tip in, but it's got a good kind of sweeping profile to it that feels good on the board and is smooth with no hitches or hiccups or bumps in it. So it's well done. It's well ground. Performance on this blade was surprisingly good given the thickness of the blade, and they've done a nice job with every knife in this line I've handled with the grind. So they've done a good job given the thickness and optimizing what they have. So it doesn't wedge too bad, and it's got pretty good non-stick qualities, and it actually goes through ingredients fairly well. I was pleasantly surprised with how well it did work. So it's really a nice kind of a long Santoku if you want to look at it that way, and it's a well-executed KU blade. So there you have the Nishida Kudauchi Funayuki 180mm knife.